What's up, Ninja Gamer Nation? This is episode 32 of the Ninja Gamer Cast. So, we'll do introductions real quick in case anybody is a new listener, or if you don't know who's who. I'm Brandon, the founder and editor-in-chief, and I do mostly back-end stuff and like news posts and stuff. I'm trying to delegate more, but it's consistently crazy with all of our schedules. I'm joined by Dimmy and Carl, so if you guys could introduce yourselves.
Yeah, hi. I'm Dimmy. I'm the managing editor. I do a little bit of everything.
And I'm Carl. I'm a staff reviewer, and I do news, and I'm a JRPG nerd and a member of the PC Gaming Master Race.
Oh man,
I had to throw that in there.
That's funny. You know, speaking of that term and how fucking stupid PC gamer is, or at least that writer is interesting because I saw one of our fans tweeting about how NeoGAF actually banned the term PC Master Race. And I was like, wait, what? And, you know, of course I had to ask. I'm like, really? This is, like, real? If you guys are listening and, you know, then you found the source or whatever, like, NeoGAF likes to use the modbot account to make, like, an all-encompassing, like, oh, you cannot do this anymore. Thou shalt not. So if you find it, send it to us, you know, because that's really interesting that they just ban a phrase. So moving on, the niche news of the week. There's a bunch of stuff from last week that we're going to talk about this week, and then some stuff from this week. First up, the new 3DS, you know, in quotes, is officially confirmed for America and Europe on February 13th. It's going to be interesting to see how that does, because they're basically pulling an Apple with a new iteration of the same thing.
That's what Nintendo always has done. I've always compared them to Apple for that reason. Now, I don't know if this is true over here, but I read an article a few days back that said in the UK they're running a trade-in program where you can bring in your regular 3DS, get a $100 coupon off of the purchase of the new 3DS if you trade it in. If they do something like that over here, I think that mitigates it a bit. I mean, you're not spending $200 to buy a brand new system. At least it cuts the price by half. I don't know if I would still do it. It just seems, in my opinion, a little shady to say, hey, we're just doubling the RAM and doubling the processor speed so we can put in some new games. I'm happy with my Vita, and you know, I don't need to buy another handheld. That's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, it's certainly interesting because it's not a quote-unquote new handheld. You know, like it's just it's an upgraded one. And I've seen a lot of our fans and stuff say, you know, there's 6 games maybe, if that are exclusive to the new 3DS. And I'm not even sure if there are that many. And, you know, one of them is the Xenoblade Chronicles game.
And Majora's Mask, which both I would love to play, but kind of already have them, and it just makes me wonder, like, do I really want to buy another handheld to play portable games that I already own?
Wait, hold on. Majora's Mask 3D is exclusive?
I thought it was, wasn't it? Don't believe me. I mean, I've been, like, completely out of it. So, well, I thought it was. I thought that was like the killer app, like the thing they were using to get people to buy it.
Yeah, like I know it's launching on the same day. Dimmy, are you looking it up? I'm assuming you are. The burden of proof rests on you. Well, we'll move on to some of the other 3DS stuff. Fire Emblem IF, or IF, however the fuck you pronounce it, I don't know, whatever. This confirmed for the 3DS. Looks pretty cool, you know, came out of nowhere, has a cool trailer. You know, to my everlasting shame, I still haven't played Awakening. I still haven't. I know, it's one of those games, like, I know it's going to be incredible. It's like a bajillion hours long, and there's tons of depth and women you can romance and stuff. And
oh, there's romances. I didn't know that. You know, but I never really paid much attention to the series until that Marth character, they put them in one of the Smash Brothers games. You notice that was like the beginning. Everybody was wondering, who the heck is that character? Now, Fire Emblem is this big thing. So, unfortunately, I've never played them, which destroys my credibility quite a bit. But it's like with Disgaea. I love those games and I play them, but it gets to the point to where I don't have enough time to finish them, and I end up going halfway through, and they sit on the shelf in my backlog forever, never being finished.
It's the same thing with me in Persona 4 Golden. I just, it's so sad. Like, it's just there, and I really want to play it. And it's going to be interesting when, I mentioned before we recorded that my wife is going back to China for 2 months. So, I have a whole list of shit to beat. It's going to be fun.
I think Majora's Mask isn't exclusive, but I know Xenoblade Chronicles 3D, I think it's called.
Yeah.
That is an exclusive to the new 3DS.
The funny thing is, the 3DS port, in my opinion, it looks kind of shitty. Like, lots of people...
It does.
Like, lots of people are like, oh my god, I can't wait. And I'm like, dude, the Wii version looks better, man. Like, I understand it's different hardware, but... And then if you compare it to the new Xenoblade on Wii U, you're just like, oh my god, it's obviously light years better looking.
Not to out myself as being a Vita fanboy, which I'll admit I kind of am, but having owned both machines, one thing I don't like about the DS, and even the new pictures I've seen of the new one, is it seems like everything's so grainy and pixelated. But yet if I play, say, Neptunia, or I play Tales of Hearts R, or Persona Golden on my Vita, everything is so crisp and clear. It's just such a huge difference. It's like moving from an 8-bit Nintendo to a PlayStation 2.
Yeah, the Vita definitely has the better hardware. I mean, you'll see some rare cases like Ironfall Invasion, I believe. And that's like a diamond in the rough. That game is done by guys who they specifically develop for Nintendo consoles. And as far as I know, they write an assembly line. Like, so they write their games to run specifically on the 3DS, and that's why it looks incredible. That's a rarity. Like you said, most of the games, they kind of just go for bare minimum. I mean, I'm playing Fantasy Life, and it looks really good. Like, it looks fun and stuff. I think it does the job well, but I feel like it could look better. It definitely could. And it's funny, I have a 2DS now, and I'm actually considering writing an editorial talking about how the 2DS kind of made me fall in love with the Nintendo handhelds again. Like, I still love the Vita a lot. Basically my favorite handheld ever. But the 2DS is definitely pretty awesome. So a new Rhythm Heaven game is coming to the 3DS, which is pretty cool. It's funny, I saw somebody on one of our articles talking about Rhythm Heaven. How they're like, oh, there's no rhythm games out right now. Like, why can't there be a new Rhythm Heaven? And then all of a sudden, they just like, hey, here it is, and people are freaking out. So that's pretty awesome. If you guys don't know, I'm a huge, huge, huge fan of rhythm games. So of course, fucking give it to me. I want it. I like it. It's funny. I like pretty much all of the rhythm games I've ever played. Although I've never truly given Hatsune Miku a chance, and I'm going to. I promise. I keep putting it off. I don't know why.
I always liked the music for those games. I've never played Rhythm Heaven, but via YouTube I've played the songs that are part of the game, like that, the wrestler one where they have the masked wrestler. I love that song so much. I ripped it off a YouTube video and once included it on a mix CD that I had in my car. So imagine me driving to work while listening to that. The music, no, but really, I mean, I don't play the game, I'm not really into rhythm games, but the music in that was so awesome. I don't know who did that, who did the soundtrack, but they're just so addictive, they're like earworms.
Mm-hmm. So this was revealed, Total War Warhammer, there's not really much info about it. This is the one that, there was like just a snippet about it. There was also the other Warhammer game, 40K, which that's the RTS game. That's the one that we know is going to be a sci-fi RTS. So there's actually a lot of Warhammer stuff coming, which is it's definitely it's really cool for fans of here it is, Battlefleet Gothic Armada. That's the RTS that was confirmed.
I was gonna say, I actually had no idea that Warhammer does sci-fi stuff.
Oh yeah.
I thought it was just fantasy because I know it from its first PC game with like the orcs and the wizards, and I don't know much about Warhammer, but that's what I know.
Those Dawn of War RTS games were pretty good. They were the sci-fi ones. They made quite a few of them and some expansions. They were pretty big. Usually it's the other way around with people. They think that they're like, oh, I didn't know that there was a fantasy version of Warhammer. I thought it was just guys in big Gears of War-like armor running around with chainsaw guns.
That's pretty funny.
Total War Warhammer, we're all assuming it's going to be like the other Total War games where you have giant legions of stuff and it's like a macro RTS. And then Battlefleet is going to be, I don't know, like it's going to be interesting. If it's like a slow burner RTS, I'll be totally down. Like Sins of a Solar Empire, I love that game. I know lots of people like the twitchy RTSs though, so maybe slow burner ones are not as popular anymore. The next chunk of news, these all came from the New Year celebration post that Xseed made. These are not officially confirmed. These were all found by either myself or people at NeoGAF and etc. As usual, Xseed will put out a teaser, and they have silhouettes of different stuff, characters or whatever, for their upcoming games, and fans tend to guess them and figure out what they are within a day, sometimes an hour. And all 4 games have been guessed correctly, but of course, Xseed likes to dance around. The 4 games are Forbidden Magna, Ys the Ark of Napishtim, Onichambara Z Kagura with no, and then Corpse Party Blood Drive. The 3 that are definite are Corpse Party, Ys, and Forbidden Magna. The Onichambara one, that's the one that people are wondering if that's going to be the PS3 game, which is Kagura with no, or if it's going to be the PS4 game, which is Z2 Chaos. I think it's going to be the PS3 game because concept art that they used, it's from the PS3 game, and it's also the fact that it's probably going to be cheaper for them to license that out to be localized. The Ys, the Ark of Napishtim, that one actually came out before.
I'm actually really interested in that because I have the PS2 version of that when that came out on the PS2. And I also, and I don't care who gets mad at me here, but I did pirate the PC one. There was this Italian group of translators who translated the PC version. And the only reason I wanted to play the PC version, why I'm bringing this up, is because Konami, which I believe is the company that published it for the PS2 over here, could not secure the music rights for the game. So they actually had to add their own music, which was really crappy on the PS2 version. So that's why I was like, Ys, if you play Ys, you know music is an extremely big part of the game because it's Falcom's music is so good. So I downloaded an ISO of Napishtim. I'm an ugly pirate. Grabbed the translation when it came out, and it's a really great game. And I'm wondering. Well, I guess since it's Falcom, so of course they won't have any. I don't know why the music rights never went through. I don't know if it was because. It probably was because Falcom wasn't publishing it. Maybe that's why. Finally, get a version of Ys 6 that's not hampered in any way. That'll be the first time we get an unhampered Ys 6 over here, legally anyway.
The composer from Nippon Ichi and the Disgaea games. I shared one of the songs from Disgaea 5, and I'm like, it's awesome! And I tagged him. And he actually retweeted it and responded, and I was like, it's so cool.
Yeah, those games have always had beautiful music. The very first one I played was Ys Book 1 and 2 for the TurboGrafx CD, and it was so light years ahead of everything else. Not just because it was on CD, but just the music. Me and my friend at the time, Mike, I still know him. He's still my friend. I don't know why I said at the time, but we hooked my boombox up to the TurboGrafx with the AV cables, and we recorded all the music in the game and made our own soundtrack. It was just such an awesome game.
See, kids, that's how you had to do it back in the day.
Yeah, we did that with Ninja Gaiden. Ninja Gaiden had great music. So what we would do is we'd let the game go, like not do anything, and just record the music until the timer ran out. So it would have like a cassette.
I remember doing the same thing, you know. I remember re-recording over VHS tapes. That was fun. Trying not to fuck up one of the portions of it. And, you know.
Yeah. We did that with the first Shadowgate for the NES because I got a strategy guide, I think through Nintendo Power or something, and we beat it, and all of our friends were like, how do you beat it? We can't even get past the beginning. So we ended up doing like a complete playthrough on a VHS tape, and we just started passing the VHS tape to everybody through school. So
That's awesome. I think we pretty much covered all the Exceed stuff. I mean, I think all of these games are exciting. I think maybe we should pick out which ones we're the most excited for.
For me, it's Nepishtim. I will definitely be buying that. And I apologize to Falcom for pirating the PC version. But I have all their games on Steam. I have all the East games, and I will be buying this one as well so I can complete my digital collection of them.
I am excited for none of them because I don't know any of them. Sorry.
That's okay.
You can.
Well, he's European. See, that's part of the thing that I want to write about the European game scene. I think I have a theory on why Europeans aren't into console games, but I'll get into that on my my editorial that I'm going to upload.
I look forward to that.
That's funny. You have a theory, huh?
No, I have a lot of European friends that I've known through the years on the internet, and me being a really big fan of the European RPG scene, I don't want to get into it. I don't want to spoil it. If you notice, a lot of European gamers really don't give two shits about console games, so and that's not a bad thing. I mean, it's a different culture. Read the article.
I think for me, I'm very interested in for a bit of Magna because a lot of people talking about I imported it and it's meh, it's mediocre, it's shitty. I feel like I want to give the game a proper shot, especially considering this is the new game by most of the former staff from Neverland Company who did the Rune Factory games. They closed their doors last year, so it's going to be interesting to see them get a shot. A lot of people say, oh, the only reason why it's coming over is because it's developed in-house by Marvelous. If you don't know, Exceed is the translation studio for Marvelous. It's going to be interesting, especially with Onichambara, because if the culture police are any indication, it's going to be fascinating to see the reaction to that game when it comes over.
Well, they got pissed off at the first one 4 years ago or so. I remember watching G4 when they were doing it. These Japanese schoolgirls with katanas and big tits. Oh, I'm so defiled. I can't believe it.
Oh, man. So, Grey Goo came out of nowhere. Wish I knew about it sooner. It's coming this week, actually. It's a new RTS by former Westwood developers. For those of you kiddos and youngins out there, Westwood were one of the go-to developers for strategy games back in the day. So.
Oh, and they also made one of the greatest RPG series of all time, Lands of Lore. Lands of Lore 2 being one of my all-time favorite PC games. Until a company called Electronic Arts kind of put the kibosh on that. The great thing about Lands of Lore, especially Lands of Lore 2, is it was so ahead of its time. It not only had probably one of the few instances of really good FMV, full motion video, but it was a first-person, amazingly done game. I think the reason why it kind of got a lot of flack is because a lot of people didn't have the horsepower to run it. I know I didn't at first. But then they came out with the 3D patch, which enabled it to use 3D accelerators. Oh, and the game was so gorgeous. So ahead of its time.
Command & Conquer Tiberian Sun, one of my favorite RTSs of all time. Just fucking incredible RTS. And all the other Command & Conquers. So it's lots of veterans from there making this game. And I think you can see it. I think you can see it in Grey Goo. The name is kind of lame, but how many cool...
You know what it makes me think of?
How many cool...
I mean, that's all I'm thinking of when I hear Grey Goo.
Alright. I mean...
I'm going to say there's something wrong with your goo if it's grey. We'll specify.
You know, sometimes depends on what I eat. You know, it might get a little cloudy.
Jesus Christ. I gotta take my I gotta take my glasses off for this one. I mean, how many original and unique names are out there that haven't been used in some shape or form? Maybe Grey Goo is one of the few unique sounding...
There must have been something else they could have picked. It's just a terrible name because, one, it's named after one of the 3 races in the game. 2, it's called Grey Goo. They could have picked pretty much anything else.
your second reason? Oh, man.
I think what they should have done is, since they're known for Lands of Lore, they should have played on that.
I gotta email them to get a review copy, because that'd be an awesome game for us to review and do some video of. So moving on, this is the last bit of news. The guys who made Space Engineers revealed Medieval Engineers. When I first published it, people were freaking out because Space Engineers is still in development. It's still in early access. I forgot to add a bit about them having different teams. You know, one that works on Space Engineers, one that works on Medieval Engineers.
Kind of reminds me of a Mountain Blade Warband, but with more of a focus on actually building things. It's really hands-off, so in my mind, this is like a more hands-on Mountain Blade, looks like.
Yeah, I kind of got that vibe too. Anyway, so move on to the topic of the week. There's a couple articles that we lumped together. So there's 3 controversies that we talked about this week. So Shadowrun Hong Kong was funded in a day, and they added some new stretch goals, and it's exciting. We're getting more Shadowrun. There was some controversy behind it because of the fact that they retweeted and favorited somebody saying they backed the game, but they used the Gamergate hashtag. Naturally, some people were like, "You're supporting Gamergate," and people, you know, were flipping out. So they unretweeted it, but they kept the favorite, and they actually issued a statement about it. That's how much people are fucking losing their shit over this.
The statement is what really bothered me, though, because it seems like they want to play... And I understand people are like, well, they're doing it because it's Business 101. But to me, it just seems so disingenuous. Because it's like they're trying to placate both sides. Like, oh, we stand for women in gaming and we stand for ethics. But, you know, Gamergate kind of broke away from that. And, you know, we don't want to support the harassment part of it. It's just like they want to play both sides. And that's what really irks me.
Second thing was Hotline Miami 2 was essentially banned in Australia because the game was refused a classification by the Australian Ratings Board. You know, Australia is known for being extremely controlling of what they allow into the country as far as media goes, whether it be violence or sexuality. The reasoning was for a particular scene where there's implied rape. You don't actually see anything, you just see the dude pinning some girl down and, you know, pumping and thrusting, and
he goes on top of her, yeah. And the thing is, I saw that video, and it's all like 8-bit. You can barely even tell what the hell's happening. It just looks like some dude with plumber's crack just ripped a fart, and he bent over. To me, that's what it looks like. And anyway, it's done within the context of a movie scene, like where it's part of the movie, where this guy, I guess, molests this girl.
In Red Dead Redemption, you can have a graphic and realistic-looking sex scene. Although I can't remember if it was sex or rape. It's just some dude just tearing it up with some girl, like on a table or something, and you can see the whole thing. You know, you don't see penetration, but you see, you know, their bodies against each other. And I think there's a scene where a woman gets like just fucking smacked upside the head, and she like falls on the ground. You know, like that's okay, but having a pixelated rape scene in an indie game is not. And comparing that to like Criminal Girls Invite Only, which has these scenes where you quote unquote motivate, or in the Japanese original you punish these girls by spanking and all kinds of other stuff, and that's apparently too much too. You know, and Devolver Digital at least had the balls to step up and say, it's like, this is ridiculous. They're stretching the truth. And if you really want to play our game and you live in Australia, go ahead, you can pirate it. We give you the okay.
I just think that's good marketing. They weren't going to make any sales anyways. Why not let people pirate it and get goodwill?
Yeah, I just think that was pretty cool. I understand really it's not going to hurt them, like you said. If it's not going to be sold there, what the hell do they care? But I just like their attitude, the way they handle it, because I know there's other developers that would recoil at this and say, oh, okay, we'll remove it, everything will be okay. But I like the fact that they're sticking to their guns. That's cool, and they've really made a fan out of me.
Well, the thing is, Australia is such a tiny market that they probably crunched some numbers and figured out that it would probably cost more to put in extra development time than it would to just not fix anything, or the benefit was so small that it wasn't worth it. That's probably the reason they didn't do it. But I do like that they're sticking to their guns, whatever the reason is. Did I say something wrong?
No.
Hello?
No, you were kind of pausing. I didn't know if it was like latency or something. So, for those who don't know, Demi lives in South Africa. There's a bit of a body of water between us, Philadelphia and South Africa. Why is it that developers, like most of them, outside of Devolver Digital, why is that so many other developers are just so afraid to talk about shit like this? Like you saw that with the Shadowrun thing, and I saw an interview with VentureBeat, who I'm not that big of a fan of, and a bunch of the bosses at Team Ninja and Koei Tecmo, and of course they had to ask them, so how do you feel about Dead or Alive 5 last round having sexualized women in this current state of... I think it was Tom Lee, who's the creative director over there. He gave a very eloquent response. He basically said, look, the women in Dead or Alive 5 are just as powerful as the men, and we make the women how we want to make them. We want them to be powerful and beautiful and sexy, and that's that. We feel that the fans know that this is fantasy. It's cool to see some developers addressing this bullshit, these controversies when they come up. I'm sure when Last Round actually ships, it's still going to get people shitting all over it. It's just really, really annoying to me.
The Moral Patrol, they're really fighting an uphill battle if they think they can bully Japanese developers, because Eastern developers are not going to give a shit about this. You're not going to change those companies because they don't really give a shit about American tastes, American companies. They're just going to do their own thing. They just don't care about us. You should be happy that we get what we do from them. They're going to make what they want.
I think you're right. I'll probably move on to the Senpai Noticed You section. So I picked a couple tweets. Aw, man, really? That's flagged as sensitive material? Are you serious? The boner one is fine, but
I like that name that one guy has, weaponized boner. Oh, I'm no kidding. I wish I had thought about that when making my account. I so would have used that. God bless you. Whoever it is, I want to talk to you about maybe letting me have your Twitter account.
That is okay. That's not flagged for having sensitive material. But then the next tweet from Burger-sama, there's literally no nudity at all.
Not the Show Me the Booty one.
Yeah, the Show Me the Booty one, that one is actually flagged for being inappropriate. I shit you not. So this is the Senpai I Noticed You section. The first tweet from Rattled Bones, or as Carl said, at Weaponized Boner. This was in response to the Battlefleet Gothic post. And he said, yes. And then he posted the picture saying, I understand now, Boner. Now you can see as I see. It's just a stick figure with a giant cock.
Stick figure. I like that. I saved that picture.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. And then Burger-sama, the one that's apparently too hot for Twitter to handle, was in response to the Super Pochako figurine article that I did. Burger-sama said, 10 out of 10 S rank, angle 5 stars. And the image is, what's her name?
Is that Patty?
I
think that's Patty Fleur from
Yep.
Tales of Vesperia.
I'm pretty sure it's Patty. saying, "Show me the booty," and then it zooms in, and she's like, "I need the booty." Oh boy, I got my cat crawling. Before I recorded, I was describing my current situation to Dimmy and Carl. We got a part of our basement redone, so I no longer have a desk down here. I'm just on a carpet, with a blanket, 2 laptops, and a microphone. So that's where I'm at right now, Please donate to us. Patreon.com/NicheGamer, please.
Quick, somebody harass us on Twitter so we can get a Patreon going.
I got doxxed, at least my parents' home address, and, nobody gave a shit about that after a day.
Because nobody wants to go into the Pine Barrens in New Jersey, that's why.
It's true. I hate to cut it short, but, the wife is getting anxious. So, we're a little bit below $300. We've been kind of sitting around there for a while now. And that's incredible that you guys are supporting us that much, already. It kind of just jumped, all the way to that, and it's pretty freaking cool. We've been having issues trying to get the newsletters out to you. I'm still waiting to get that Viking design done. It's almost done, I promise. As soon as that's out, we're going to start voting for the next design. We're trying to iron out the kinks with this stuff, and at the same time do stuff that we can definitely handle. We only have so many writers, and we care about the quality of content with the site. I never want Niche Gamer to have 50 writers and nobody does anything. I never want us to become like that. That's not what we're about. One of the things that Niche Gamer stands for is all of us being knowledgeable about stuff within gaming. That's what the site's all about, is being a specialty site that covers all the specialty stuff. Instead of just throwing something at somebody, hey, cover this, write about this. I'd rather have people who know about this stuff so that we can actually talk about it intelligently and we can actually be cultured about it.
I think we have a very diverse group of people here with very different tastes, so if one person is weak in one area, then somebody else is strong in that area, so it kind of overlaps.
I agree. And we're trying to round out the staff more, with coverage of more stuff. I've actually had a lot of women apply for the jobs, and I've responded to everybody. At this point, only a couple have gotten back or followed up. Don't think that, we're not talking to people. If you applied for writing for the site, don't think that we're ignoring you or something. We're just trying to be careful.
It would be good. I'm really looking forward to maybe having a woman on our podcast so it's not so much of a sausage fest.
I remember the one podcast we did where we talked about something that was sexy or something. Somebody commented saying, "Jesus Christ, can this get any more perverted and you're just slobbering over there? Can you please get at least one woman on the show?" I agree, but at the same time, we're not the kind of website to hire people just because. Oh, you're a woman? Okay, great, let's bring you on. I am trying to look at people's writing styles, their credentials, and talent and passion, people's merits, instead of what they look like.
Don't you know that's the wrong way? You're supposed to focus on filling quotas. Diversity.
So, we have those goals out there on the Patreon, the $500 for the hardware and software and maintenance. We have the $1,000 for the basic staff salaries. We're trying to responsibly grow, use the funding from you guys responsibly. I put out the January update for the Patreon, and everything still stands. All the money that we get goes back into the website. Everything goes right back in. The theme that we're on now, it's a new theme, but it looks like the old one, a temporary theme. That's coming from this month's funding. That was $100. That's actually a down payment for the new theme. It's going to have new features. It's going to look different. I don't want to talk about it quite yet because it's still in the prototyping phases. You can just ask Dimmy. But rest assured, it's not going to be all Web 2.0 and stupid. It's going to be functional and sleek and fun. We want it to look cool. We have a better back end now with the site, so...
The site's been running so much better.
Yeah, I was so used to the old theme that we had, which was a giant piece of shit, that I didn't realize that that's not how our CMS should behave. It should be a lot faster. I think that the old Steam that we had, which was a giant piece of shit, was holding us back with our traffic. Ever since we switched, traffic has increased by a lot. So yeah, we are growing concurrently. I'm trying to focus on just putting out good content. It's stuff that's fun to talk about, stuff that's relevant to your interests as a niche gamer. I think a lot of people identify as that, or just fans of niche games. It's nice to feel vindicated, because sometimes I feel like we set a standard that's kind of, well, I don't want to toot our own horn too much, but we set a pretty high standard, and sometimes we get people call us out on stuff. You guys should. If we mess up, if we make mistakes, whatever, you should call us out. Because we do care about the site, we care about our content, we care about the brand. I always look at Niche Gamer as a collective of the most hardcore of hardcore gamers. We just don't give a shit about all the typical bullshit in the industry and all the bickering and all the stupid stuff. We just care about the games, and it's a place where you can just come and just hang out.
That was one of the reasons why I was a little apprehensive about posting that last news bit I did, but I thought it was worth mentioning the whole part about the controversy bit, because no other website touched on that. I saw that Shadowrun Hong Kong meets Stretch Goal posted on like 10 different sites, and not a single one mentioned that bit. And I didn't want to be that guy that posted the Gamergate thing again, but I thought it was very relevant because the way they handled it, how it was brushed aside. I also don't really care for Felicia Day, because I do think she exploits the gaming community, and I felt it was something that needed to be reported on, so that's why I went with it. Otherwise, I'm not the kind of guy who tries to editorialize stuff or put excessive Gamergate things in every post. It's about the games first and foremost.
Yeah, that's one thing that I've stressed a lot in the past couple months. Certain people would say, "Oh, Niche Gamer is a Gamergate website." We've existed for a long time before Gamergate. We're not all about Gamergate. That's one of the reasons why our demographic is pretty unique, because we get people coming who generally care about these games. If you want us to be just about Gamergate, then I'm sorry, that's not what we're about. And I think you were right to add that in there, and I saw people calling out the Felicia Day thing.
Exactly, and that's why I felt bad about it afterward. I'm like, should I have done that? And I was tempted to ask your permission first, but I figured, you know what? I'm going to put it in there anyway because no one else is mentioning this, and I felt it's worth mentioning. First of all, how much did you put in? And second of all, I'm sure there are other celebrities that what if Adam Baldwin, say, donates $50? Should we put Adam Baldwin in the game too?
I think, to finish off, the only thing I could really say, is thank you guys for being incredible to us. Please tell your friends about us. Please consider backing us on Patreon. Just keep an eye out for some pretty cool stuff that's going to be coming from us in the very near future. New video content. There's something big that I'm trying to finish negotiating, so if that can be resolved soon, then you're going to see some pretty awesome news coming from us. Although I do want to hold off until the new theme is done, but I don't know. We'll see what happens. I might get too excited.
I think the video content is one thing everybody should be excited about, because I really liked what Chris did with the Mordheim video. And because I like that so much, I'm going to be doing that with Blackguards, which I'll be reviewing, hopefully, sometime soon. So I think from now on, whenever I do a game review, I think I'll do a little preview like he did, and use that sort of as a guide. So people can look forward to seeing us doing more video content, which is always a cool thing.
We're going to be putting up all the podcasts onto YouTube as well, and we're going to be using that as our player from now on, so that's going to be cool. So thank you guys so much. We'll see you guys next week.